Youth and Drugs. Excuse me, Youth and Guns. Today we have two special guest stars. We have Michael, and we also have Minister Jermon. I'm going to go ahead and start with Michael and let Michael speak a little bit about himself.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, good morning.
How you guys doing?
All right, and yourself.
Yeah, I'm basically here to give my points on the youth and the guns from the aspect of being there as it happened. You know, I spent over 30 years on that side of it, and I do know a lot about it, so I will be giving my opinion the best that I can.
All right.
That's what I want to hear. Great. All right, Minister.
Hi, my name is Jermon Manor, and also, you know, we come from the same background. So the thing is, I believe we both got pretty good points and aspects to bring to this conversation about youth and guns.
Yeah, you know, it's ironic that we all grew up in the same neighborhood.
Same neighborhood.
Exactly. I mean, it's real crazy. And you can see the different avenues.
Yeah, the different paths everybody
we all
took.
still here.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Before we get started, like I always like to start off with a little poem before we get into the meat of the program. This is something my husband and I wrote up together. It's called "They Say Anything Is Possible." You must dream like you've never seen obstacles, but that's hard to obtain for all the young teens that's been slain. I pray the family that's enduring all this pain will look to God and not be distraught, and be blessed from the demons fought. It will last for more than a while. I can only imagine how it feels to lose a child. I never stop seeing violence. The only stopping they'll do is for sirens. No father in the home, so this generation is lost. Kids seeing moms taking care of their child. Sometimes some things they've been seeing for a while. Mothers or grandmothers get the credibility because the mothers and fathers couldn't do it, and grandma felt pity. So their kids have often to suffer, looking for acceptance from another. This would eventually fail because young men are killing each other as they hate themselves. See it times like this that should make you really wonder who is real or who is fake. Will it ever slow up? People get older, but they never grow up. No, they'll do their sons like the fathers did them and never show up. Our people are free, but their minds are still in chains. People are killing each other. Their blood is shedding in shame. There's another homicide in Vegas, and this is not fake. It's just another episode of this show called Life. So watch the whole season. There's no reruns or breaks. The streets are taking our children, but to reclaim them, it takes a village.
Yeah. Vegas, when it gets hot in Vegas, the streets get sticky. Yeah. And I'm not talking about from tar. It gets sticky. You know?
And I wonder why. Because me personally, I'll be in the house in the heat.
Yeah, that's about the safest place for you nowadays because these youngsters now are getting their hands on these guns, and it's to the point where they don't say the old saying that we say knuckle up. Right. They're not willing to fight you no more. They're gonna pull this thing and start letting lead fly, and 9 times out of 10 they miss their mark and hit somebody that has nothing to do with the situation. And you know, I got some stats here that's just mind-boggling, really. You know, because here it says, you know, in 2008, 2,900 children and teens died from guns in the United States. 2,700 died in 2009. You know, a total of 5,700. One child or teen every 3 hours, 8 every day, 55 a week. Up to a year, 6 times as many children and teens die. I mean, you figure, so we're figuring around 30,000 kids are dying a year behind gunplay.
Nonsense.
Craziness. About fighting over something that we don't own. We don't own a blade of grass in the neighborhood that we live in.
Right. Or kids are losing their lives behind color. The set that they're that they claim. And it's sad because when I've dealt with a lot of the youth that came into the prison system, it was really bad because they would always say, "Oh, my homie this, my homie that."
Where your homie?
But where was your homie when you was laying in bed, in the hospital bed, fighting for your life? Where were they when you had visitations? Did they come to see you when you had your visitations? Did they put money on your books? Did they accept your collect calls from prison? No, the one that did it was your mother or your father. Those are the ones that's actually gonna ride and die for you. It's not the one that claim, oh, I got your back, I'm your family. You my boy, I got you. But
you get a 40-ounce poured upside down.
Basically, though, it's not that type of loyalty no more industries.
Right.
I'm 44. So when we was out there, it was real loyalty. We all felt like family. We all grew up in the same neighborhood. We took care of the neighbors. We took care of, if I seen your kid outside, I came and brought your kid.
Right,
in,
right.
Let you know we did that for each other. It's a difference now. Like the loyalty is totally gone. They have no sense of, it's not a neighborhood thing no more. As far as we all grew up there, we all went to the school together. I got pictures, kindergarten pictures with you, and I've been knowing you for 20 years, and that's why I have your back like that. Now it's just, oh, we from the same clique. Oh, we started a basketball clique called this, and then somebody had a fight. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, that clique that was just playing basketball is a gang.
Right, right.
And it'd be people come from Summerlin, Henderson, anywhere to join the gang. They don't have no sense of loyalty towards what it meant to us when we were doing it.
Right.
Which it doesn't justify it because it still was stupid. I look back on it and it was like a big waste of time. My life could have been in such a better place if I would have took the right routes, listened to my dad, my grandmother.
Right, right.
That is proven.
Right.
Which rights to take. I chose to take the route I took.
Right.
I don't regret it. It made me the man I am today. I'm blessed to still be here.
That's a good
and
thing.
I know a lot about a lot of stuff that helps me, that saved my life also.
Right.
Because you can also be blind to the fact and walk right into the same death trap that's growing up into.
Right.
And you know what the scary part is I grew up on the Crip side of things. And Michael, the guest speaker today, is my cousin, and he grew up on the blood side of it. But there was always respect there for each other. And the killing part is that if somebody did something to him back in the day when I was banging, I went after that person, and so as well as his people went after him. So it was family was the thing back then. But now you got this hybrid thing with these gangs, and I have no idea who they're loyal to.
Right,
their loyalty is
they're trying to make a name for themselves.
Absolutely, there's no loyalty. Right. And one thing Michael said, it's a perception that all these young men and women come from broken homes.
Right.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Right.
A lot of these homes have both parents.
Right.
And both parents are teaching the kids what they need to learn.
Right.
But it's the kids themselves that make their own decisions.
So, Minister, would you attribute it to, and Michael, would you attribute it to peer pressure?
Some of it's peer pressure. Some of it is an eagerness to fit in.
Right. Okay.
They want to fit in, and they feel the only way I can fit in is to join and do what they're doing.
Okay.
See, a lot of kids don't have the inner strength to say, okay, I can still be your friend.
Right.
But I'm not going to do what you're doing.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm not doing that. But we're still friends. But I'm not going to do what you're doing.
Would it be healthy for a child or a young teenager to have a friend that's not part of it, somebody that they can have an avenue to talk to, or somebody different? Because if me and you are in the gang, we think alike. We want to go do this lick. But if we got somebody thinking outside the box, would that kind of make us square, or would that?
Well, I have a friend that I grew up with named David Anderson. He's a Reverend now, but we grew up together. He's never really been in the gang. He hung with us all since we was like 13. He's never really been in the gang. He would ride with us. If we got into anything, I called him, he would come. But he took a whole different avenue. And, he always told me, once he changed his life, he got into some trouble, he changed his life. And he always told me, if I just let that part go and just call on God, don't worry about going over there no more, don't worry about what they're doing, just call on God. It would change everything that's going on in my life.
Right.
And I see it because it changed everything in his life. He is very successful right now. He's doing projects right now, finna open an outdoor swap meet on Boulder Highway.
Oh, that's great.
He gives back to the community tenfold. He has warehouses on Lake Mead where he stocks food and stores food, where he just goes and gives back like without a problem. And you know, so it showed me by having a friend like that
Mm-hmm.
that always calls me every time he calls me. What you do? You ain't in no trouble. But let me pray with you right now.
Oh,
By
that's
having a
good.
friend like that, it keep me grounded. It keep me thinking positive and not negative.
But
Right.
you know, you say that, and Michael and I share the same grandmother, and we were brought up in the church heavy,
on both sides.
and we was in the church so much, so when we got to the point where we were old enough to make a decision, I ain't going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going. But like that old adage saying is, the apple don't fall too far from the tree.
Right.
So now when I got older and got my kids, y'all get dressed, we going to church.
Right.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
didn't have no choice. My mom
That's
drove me
what
to
I gotta
church.
get. That's what I'm lacking right now.
Right.
That's one of the avenues I got to get back into is church, because that's what I'm missing out in my life. You know, I'm married, I have a beautiful wife. She loves me. You know, we go through our ups and downs. Everybody
Everybody
does.
does.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
That's
I
part of
also
marriage.
know, you know, through everything I've been through, being shot, almost dying.
Mm.
Shot 4 times. I have bullets still in me right now to this day. All the stuff I've been through, being blessed just to be here and speak. Never going to the penitentiary.
That's good.
So I know God loved me and took care of me through
He has
everything
something
I
for you to
did.
I was listening to a song earlier.
Yeah.
God shows me favor or something like that.
Uh-huh.
God
Mhm.
has favor. But Hezekiah Walker.
Right.
And I told my wife, I said, I think I've found a new favorite song. Because just listening to the words of that song,
Mhm.
it fit my life.
Right.
You know, because there's a bunch of times I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
Right.
the things that I've done as a youth, I shouldn't be here. The shootouts that I've been in as a police officer, I shouldn't be here.
Right.
But God got me here for some reason.
Right.
And
Got a plan.
it's got a
Right.
plan and you know, and the purpose. But you know, it's scary, you know, that these youth can get their hands on firepower so easily. I don't know if it's mainly because of home invasions or
That's like 70% of it is home invasions. Right now they trying to take care of themselves. They're not gonna work. It's like a different. When we was growing up, you know, we hustled.
Right.
You know, you stayed in the trap 24/24.
Right.
You never left. You know, that's how you took care of you, your family, your mom and them. My mama stayed over there, but she needed $200. I had to go over there and spend all this time over here.
Mhm,
Now
mhm.
they don't do that. All they want to do now is get drunk, get messed up. Go,
Right.
you know, we turn it up. So the quickest way to do it is, they gone. We go in their house, get their stuff, sell it. Boom, we got $500 to kick it this
a
weekend.
quick come up.
Right.
Yeah.
Quick come up.
And they coming up on guns, jewelry, whatever, and they selling it. Or the younger generation now also, the new trend is with the females, they home. They going out there without a doubt, and it's like without no morals about it. Like to them, it's like just the next thing to do. Posting
Right.
pictures of the money you making by selling your soul.
Right.
You know, I have kids, so
Right.
I be on my daughter's head. I don't care how old you are. That's one thing I don't never want to hear.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the older they got or whatever, they make their own decisions, but they also know at the same time, I'm gonna have to deal with my
I'm gonna have to deal with my
Right,
dad.
right,
I gotta deal with my dad.
So
Absolutely.
versus being like, you know, whatever he say, they would rather like have me not be mad at him or be, you know, on that side with him.
Mhm.
So they haven't took that route. They're trying to go get a job and do all that. And it's so easy for them just to go out there right
And
now.
make that
Yeah.
quick
Make
money.
the quick
17, 18, you can go right to, they gonna hire you at all the little strip joints.
Clubs. Right.
I mean, and it's corrupting them to the point where it make them lazy.
Mhm.
So getting back to, you know, being grounded, and the whole church thing. If I think if we keep our children somewhat abreast to what church is about, you know, then they tend to stay away from that. I mean, like you know, our grandmother would have never stood for none of this.
Mhm.
I mean, when she said no, it was no. I don't care who you went and talk to. You could have went talk to your mom, and your mom said, yeah, you know, I'm not messing with that, because grandma said no,
Right.
I ain't going, and she meant that.
Right.
You know,
And
so
see, I think one thing that as churches and as Christians, we have to not only teach the Bible, we have to talk to these young people about
Right.
what's going on in the world.
right.
Mhm.
Stop trying to sugarcoat it, because if we don't tell them the truth, they're gonna find
They
it.
gonna
They gonna
find
find
it. Right.
And when
The
they
wrong
find
way.
the truth, sometimes it's twisted.
Mhm.
That's how you get all this stuff to where stripping and prostituting has become a fad almost.
Right.
That's why it's so acceptable,
Mhm.
because everybody's doing it. And that's the same thing with this hybrid gang they got now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fad. I mean, some of these kids, they couldn't tell you where it started. They couldn't tell you what to do.
Right.
All they know
doing
is put on this color, put on these clothes, and walk this way. I'm accepted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how a lot of the young people end up getting trapped, because you're accepting somebody who you know nothing about.
Right.
Nothing about. You know, I had a kid the other day
Exactly.
that 16, 17 years old, claimed Gerson. Gerson been gone for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
When was the first time you seen the Gerson?
Right.
Tell me when you seen the Gerson.
And
You might have seen a photo.
Right.
But a lot of them say
I
it
know
because
more
they
back when
parents,
it's phase.
they have
Yeah.
family members doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really kind of, you know, that is another thing too, because like with some of my kids, you know, they try to follow what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And so they naturally they feel like they come to it. We growed up in that, like, you know, Jermaine and Lil Man Love,
Right.
you know, so they all growed up into it. So it becomes that's what they knew.
Right.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, I preach to them, you know, okay, yeah, you're around here, but what are you doing? Like, if you ain't got no job, you ain't taking care of yourself, then really you're not doing nothing.
Right.
You know, because it's no win in it. There's no win in it. Back then, we was able to take care of each other. You can't even do that.
So when you were out there, you know, doing your thing on your set, so how easy was it for you to actually get a hold of a weapon?
And, I went to Elko at 14 for shooting Greg P. in the Jets. At 14, I said I had my first gun probably at like 12 on Jackson Street. The guy sold it to me for $25.
Wow.
Just because he wanted some crack, like that easy. You know, and I imagine nowadays it's more easier because there's more guns.
There's more guns out
It
there.
is. It is.
There's more guns out there. Absolutely.
And there's more ways, there's more technology to get it. We didn't have all this technology. So they able to go on the phone right now and meet 800 people that they never would have met.
Right.
So, you know, they exposed to all types of different things.
Social media.
Yeah. And it makes it harder to even deal with raising a kid,
Mm-hmm.
let alone really finding out what they're doing. Because once they leave the house, you don't know what they really doing.
But you know, as a police officer, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that I would come and knock on the door and say, hey, I got little Joe in custody for this. First thing comes out of mom's mouth. My son didn't do that.
Yeah.
But she was in bed asleep.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
she was nowhere near the scene.
And also a lot of times you have parents that have lived that life,
Mm-hmm.
but they working so hard to hide it from their kids
Mm-hmm.
Right.
until they don't want to face it. And then you have those parents who had no clue of that type of life.
Right.
So they really don't see it. They don't recognize the signs.
No
of
signs
it.
at all.
Right.
If your son come in and tell you, Mom, I want this color shoe string, this color rag, this color shirt. In her mind, it's just maybe a fad.
Right.
And he can
Right.
tell her that and she'll believe it.
You dressing like the videos.
Mhm.
Right,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Really, you dressing like they dress around the car.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's what happens when you have people that come into the communities that get involved in this kind of stuff
Mhm.
that's not from the communities. To them, it's a game.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, we come in, you don't really understand the struggle.
Or the
You know,
consequences.
or the consequences, because I may be out here selling this because my family really hungry.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Whereas your family live up on the hill with a whole bunch of money,
Right.
and your allowance is my hustle for the month.
Hmm.
So you don't really understand what we're doing, but you want to be a part of it because it's fun to you. But it's life to us.
It's like you say, it's a game.
It's a game.
And they don't know that it's serious.
Yeah, that-
Absolutely.
It's serious. I mean,
Absolutely.
you get your life took.
you know,
Because
I can name 50 people.
yeah,
Off the top of my head, I brought up with great people just gone, men and women.
yeah.
The life got took because of that, simply because of that.
So what was the motivation? What motivated you to join?
My twin died when I was 10.
Yeah.
It was the worst thing I ever went through.
Yes, sir.
And I
Yes,
didn't
sir.
really have nobody else there. So over in the neighborhood, Marble Manor, you know, I go outside and play. And those guys around it became my family. I got to spend the nights over here at his house with him, and his mom would wake up and cook us breakfast.
Right.
It was like a replacement for my twin, who I spent all my life with.
Yeah.
And I became so close to him that, you know, these are my brothers, no matter what. You know, and whatever they do, I'm doing.
Okay.
You know, it was a comrade. We didn't do it like for attention. We did it to take care of each other. We used to get up and go. See, it wasn't always just on negative stuff. We used to get up 7 o'clock in the morning, 10 of us, and meet up and go to the gas station
Mhm.
and watch windows and pump gas for money.
Right.
And have money to take
Right.
home to feed our sisters and brothers or take care of ourselves and all that. It wasn't always, the wrong route. But then when all the other stuff came in, it's quicker. We going up here making $40-$50 every day doing this, and I can stand around here for an hour and make $500 right quick.
Right.
Now I can buy you some shoes, me some shoes. So I'm gonna take this avenue, and then if something happened to me, this guy come, he robbed me. Who else gonna? I got to call on my brothers, and they're gonna come and they're gonna be there for me. Now that we older, we all look back and have the regrets of all that money, guaranteed millions went through this hand. I was in some of the biggest dope houses in Vegas for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, guaranteed, I've seen that type of money, but I don't have it right now. And that's because that money is really not gonna last. You can't invest it in nothing. They come back and get it. If I spend $20,000 to start a company, they're gonna come back and say, "Well, where did you get the $20,000
to start it? To start up one, right.
You're selling dope, but we're taking all this back, so it's no win. It ain't no finish line in that. And the quicker you see that the real finish line is working hard, taking care of your family, staying away from that. It's cool to have dance groups and everybody have some type of social group that they want to be in.
Right.
But the negative ones that can get you killed or have you in prison for the rest of your life, those are the ones that you want to stay away from. Because that's on the end result. I've been shot 4 times. Back, I go to the doctor every month. Bullets in my hand, wake up, hand like this, from all the things that I went through, I put myself on. I chose to take them routes. I wasn't scared of nothing. My brother died at 10. I seen death. I already know what was coming for me, death. So I'm gonna get out here and do whatever till he called me. Till it's my time. That's how I really felt for years, 20 plus years. That's how I felt. Like I had nobody. You know what I'm saying? And my kids is what saved me.
Right.
Because with my kids, and I start seeing love in their eyes, regardless of how I felt. So I started changing my ways. Slowly but surely, I changed from being that at the drop of a hat, I could light the whole neighborhood up and wouldn't care, and be running from the police, wouldn't care, to thinking about, I can't do this because if I do and I'm gone, who gonna make sure they are
your
right?
kids, right?
Who gonna care for my kids like I do?
Exactly.
But here's a question I got for you. You said you got your first gun at 12.
Yeah.
Now nowadays is 12 a late start?
No.
I mean, because you saying they're getting them at 12 or they're getting them earlier than 12?
I say a little later than 12 because now the kids nowadays at 12, they're the young ones that's at that age, their minds are on different things now. Like our son, 12, he's a skateboarder. He loves skateboarding. Yeah, I do see a lot of skateboarding. He's not into, but we stay and watch him because we know that you would probably try. I didn't call him up. You put that bandana back up in that room. Oh no, we were just having because we know we're not doing that. Right. We watch stuff like that, but he not around there, walking around there trying to skateboarding. Blow my mind. I'm working on the car and he's skateboarding. I turn around looking. He's doing all these kick flips and hillies and jumping off the curb and all this stuff that I never knew he could do.
That they getting paid big money to do.
Big money.
Right now, what he keeps saying, his favorite thing is I'm gonna get.
You want to get sponsored,
right?
I'm gonna get sponsored.
And you know what? And let him keep dreaming that. Yeah. And we as adults and as a community need to get behind him and push him. Yeah. Because if he sees that it's just not mom and daddy that love me. It's my whole community, right? Because now when he gets a little older, he gonna reach back and grab somebody.
Right. Matter of fact, we was just at one of the restaurants a couple of days ago. My mother and father was in town, and we actually met a cook. He actually came out to the table and was talking to us. And he said when he was young, he was in the streets doing all kind of stuff. Him and his friend was always in the trouble. And he said his friend's mother actually went to bat for him in court. They was getting ready to send him to prison. And she went and batted for him and says, no, give him a chance. So they went and invested money in him, put him in culinary school. So he's been in culinary for 30 years now. Wow. And he says, because she took the time out and treated me like her own child, it kept me out of jail. It kept me off the streets. And he said, every day he would go to her house, she would give him $2 for lunch so he wouldn't go steal it from anybody.
Yeah, so he wouldn't go steal it.
And that's the difference too. That's another difference. Back then, the neighborhood raised the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Now
I
you
can
can't
get a
do that.
whooping from
Mhm.
Miss Jenkins down the street.
Right,
Because
right.
you doing something wrong with me, bring me home, and
Get
then
another whooping.
grandma gonna whoop me up.
Better hope granddaddy was
we
there
were just
already.
saying that the other
Right.
show. Yeah.
Nowadays, the kids will cuss you out. And they go
And the
get their
parents
parents,
too.
and they gonna come and tell you how you wrong.
Right.
When I'm 44 and your baby 13, and I just caught them doing the wrong thing.
Right. And
And all I'm
cussing me
trying to
out.
do
I'm
is-
trying to save
Right,
them.
right.
Trying to save them.
And that's another route that's wrong too. You know, we lost that it takes a
Village.
village mentality.
Right.
We lost that.
Mhm.
Everybody's for themselves nowadays. You
Right.
see people, you know, we was driving yesterday morning, a lady car stopped. It's 4 cars in front of us. We don't know what's going on with her car.
Right.
We thinking that somebody drunk or something. She turned sideways. It looked crazy. She started backing up. So when we get there, I see it's a lady. She got a baby in the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
Let me help you get your car out the street. I stopped. Stay right, baby. Pushed her out the way.
Mm-hmm.
While all these other cars blowing the horn, they're going around her. They flip
Yeah,
her
they
off
don't
and being
stop
mad
people no more.
instead of seeing what's going on. This is a lady with a child in her back seat that's hot out here.
Right.
And won't nobody take 5 minutes to get her out the street to make sure she's all right.
But you will catch a blessing. People don't realize that it's just that small act.
Mhm.
You know, God gonna look at you and
These are things I
smile.
wish I would have knew
Right.
Back
then
then.
at 20, 21, 19.
Right.
You know, if I would have been thinking this way then.
But we
I
was
have
hard headed. We were hard headed.
Right.
But
I was
because
fuck-
you went through what you went through, like you said, it made you the person that you are today.
Right.
And so in return, now that you know what you know, now like you're doing with your son. And if you see another young man out there in the streets, you know, it'd be easy for you to grab him and say, hey, no, man, you don't want to go that route. You come do, let me tell you a little bit about me and what I've been through. And this is where I am today. So when people that actually experience things like this, they are better teachers rather than someone who has never experienced it, but they're trying to teach. And the kids are looking like they crazy. How can you teach me when you never been through it?
Experience is
Right.
Yeah, that's the best teacher.
You never been through
I think
what
a
I'm going
songwriter
through.
said that.
So how
Yeah.
can you tell me?
Experience is the best
I
teacher.
mean, and that's the thing. When we look back over our life, sometimes we tend to say, I didn't know God. God wasn't with me.
Mhm.
But when you look back over your life, you really get the big picture.
He's the only one big.
Because even though you felt you may have been going through pure hell,
Right.
it was customized.
Mm-hmm.
Because every step of the way, I told a young kid this, it's almost like God told me, you keep trying to do stuff. You
Mhm.
keep trying to get in trouble. I'm gonna let you get in a little trouble.
Right.
Because the more I pull you back, the faster you run forward.
Mm-hmm.
So if I let you bump your head a couple of times, I'm still right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just like Michael said, you've been shot, all kinds of stuff has happened, but at the end of the day, I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm here with all my wherewithal. I got all my senses, all my limbs are working,
Mhm.
and I'm able to make a big difference.
Right.
You know, and you have some that don't have all their limbs, but it's a great testimony when you tell somebody,
Right.
this is what I was doing, this is what happened to me.
This is a
Right.
consequence.
Right.
You know, and that's what a lot of our young people need to understand. You don't have to go out there to do it to know that it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Let us tell you.
Right.
You know,
Right. And that's what I was telling my wife as soon as we started that we were going to start this mentoring program. And and I told her I want people with experience to talk to these people,
Mhm.
to talk to the kids.
Right.
I don't want people to stand up here and go read stats because me as a youngster would have been able to see right through that.
absolutely,
Yeah, exactly.
and they can do it today.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can read.
They
Right,
can
they can see right through that.
And that's one thing I told them. You know, even at the church, when we have our gatherings for the youth and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the worst thing you can do is lie to these kids
Yeah.
Right.
because you think they're just not paying attention.
They watch.
But if you're trying to hype yourself up, and I saw a guy do it, and he fell flat on his face.
Mm.
Oh, I came from this neighborhood, and I did this, and I did that. Well, you forget these kids have parents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to my parents about some of their stories also.
Mm-hmm.
So if you was from this neighborhood, you should know this person.
Right.
Right.
So when they start running down 20 names and you don't know none of them, okay, you might have missed 1 or 2, but 20 people?
Right.
Especially growing up in the project. Everybody
Absolutely.
Everybody knew everybody.
If I don't remember your name, I know what street you stayed on.
What street you from?
Or who you related to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Who lived across the street?
But you can't tell me you stayed in Herbert Gerson, but you lived on Weaver Street.
Exactly.
You know, wrong property.
Right.
You know, and that's what happens when some people they have good intentions. They want to mentor, they want to be a good mentor,
Mm-hmm.
but rather than just come out and say, you know what, I've never been where you've been from. I have no idea what you've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
but talk to me. help me understand what you're dealing with.
Right.
But when you come with the fake facade, and once you get figured out, your whole program is done.
Right. That's true. That's true.
With this recent South Carolina thing, with this young man going into this church, and praying and praising with these people for an hour, I don't know what could have gone through his mind, and what clicked for him to start firing gunshots and kill that many people.
It was my understanding that was his intentions.
Right. The hate crime.
Well, the hate crime. I mean, hate starts at home. You're definitely not born with it.
Absolutely.
Right.
You're not born with it. That's taught. But Minister, I know that you're part of a whole thing with Metro in reference to, the church security thing. What is your take on guns in the church?
I mean, we're at a time now in society that everything that could happen is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And, years ago, it was unheard of. But now it's to a point to where you're going to have to start being able to defend yourselves,
right,
and even your sanctuaries. Because crime don't have a limit. It don't stop at the doors of the sanctuary.
Right.
It's coming in.
Our conversation the other night, and he threw me a question that totally threw me for a loop. He asked me, he said, Dwayne, what is the richest hour in America? And I was puzzled. And I'm not the dumbest. I'm not saying I'm the brightest, but I was puzzled. And like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said 11 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Church, the richest hour.
People come in.
Because you're, all over the country, you have church service at 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have earlier ones and later ones.
Right.
But 11 o'clock is predominantly the hour that's been set for Christians and even other denominations
mm-hmm.
to come together and praise God.
Right.
Well, anyone that knows anything knows that there's money flowing in the church. And some of the churches are very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And with this big poverty push going on,
mm-hmm.
we need money. And unfortunately, people, like I said, they don't have boundaries. I know where it's at, I'm going to get it.
Right.
Do you really think that they would take over a church?
It's been done.
When you do anything.
We haven't gotten any confirmations here in Nevada of it happening.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to like different states, like one church we visited in New York,
mm-hmm.
he had been taken down twice. Because you got to look at it. When that money rolls out of that sanctuary, it's going somewhere. And any opportunity I got to get it, I'm going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking at stats earlier, and Colorado seems to have an issue.
There's a lot of them, yeah. Because I was doing research last night, and goes all the way back to 2007. Colorado, there was a young man who was 24 that was actually went in there, and actually an elder of a church came out. Elderly woman came out of church.
She was called out.
Yeah, someone called her out, and
out.
then they just started shooting.
They opened
fire on her.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to look at it. You're dealing with human beings,
mm-hmm.
and everybody that's going to church, they're not going to be saved or going to hear the word.
Mm-hmm.
People have ulterior motives,
yeah.
And even the ones who are, sometimes they can't accept the fact that the word that's being taught today
mm-hmm.
is walking down my street. It was an incident in Louisiana where a young lady came to church during the service. The pastor was preaching on shacking up.
Okay.
Well, she was shacking up. She went home and told her boyfriend, we got to do something different.
Right.
The pastor just, really talked to me this morning,
mm-hmm.
About shacking up,
mm-hmm.
and I got convicted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this person wasn't ready to get married, and he wasn't ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to the church that following Sunday, walked down the center aisle,
mm-hmm.
stood in front of the pulpit while the pastor was preaching. When the pastor noticed him, he stopped and asked him, could he help him?
Yes.
He pulled out a 44 Magnum and told him, you messed up a happy home.
What the heck?
Killed him in the pulpit.
What?
Shot him in the pulpit.
Oh my God.
That goes back to our question about security in the churches.
Mm-hmm.
Because some stuff you can't stop.
Right.
It happens so fast you can't stop it,
mm-hmm.
but you can limit the casualties.
Okay.
You can limit the casualties.
Right.
People don't want guns in the church. I understand they don't want them in there. but you have to have something in there that's going to limit these casualties.
Because either way, you're going to get sued.
Either way. And I mean, I think you spoke about the other night. I'd rather, as a church body, deal with the Perps family than deal with 9 or 10 families with inside my church.
Right.
Because believe it or not, folks will say it won't happen. But if I'm sitting in this church and I get hurt or killed, my family coming.
Oh, yeah.
Some may say, well, no, it was just God's will. But you got some saying, no, I see dollar signs, because believe it or not, you have people that start whispering that.
Oh yeah,
you should sue them.
Oh, the attorney's gonna be right on.
Absolutely.
Attorney's imagine somebody gets hurt in TD Jakes' joint.
Oh my.
Right.
Imagine the media frenzy that's gonna be over that.
And the thing is, a lot of people, they get upset about weapons in church, but when you think about it, any leader, most of our leaders are protected. Oh yeah, they're protected. Whether they're from the White House, the Senate, they're all protected.
Right.
So what's so hard about us protecting our leaders?
Right.
You know, and not only our leaders, but everybody in the sanctuary. Now, I wouldn't advocate just get everybody a gun. You don't do that.
No.
Everybody that say they're saved, not saved.
You get that
so
right.
You can't just say, okay, you've been here for 5 years, you say, here, take this, or go bring yours to church. No, there's training that has to be done. There's backgrounds that got to be ran. Because you want to make sure that the person who got this weapon know how to use it, first of all. They're not a hothead. They have training on what to do, when to do it, and to understand that that weapon is your last resort.
That's your last resort.
And that's what we was having a conversation, my husband and I and my mother. My mother's a pastor. So, you know, when all this was coming out, me, from how I was brought up in church, we didn't have that. We didn't have to think about anybody coming into church and shooting. We went and did what we was doing in church. But I got upset because I feel, why should we have to bring guns to church? And then my husband said, well, security team should have their weapons. And I was like, no. I said, because first of all, you got to think, like you said, the training, and they need to know how to do it. And I said, and then not to mention, if everybody starts shooting in the church, you have young kids in the church, you have elderly women and men in the church. So who say that whoever gets the gun, they just get the gun to start shooting, and innocent people are getting shot and killed.
Right. And see, we've had that conversation because, like, now, even before this incident, it's been a lot of buzz going on about that, because pastors get death threats.
Right.
And members get death threats.
Absolutely.
And one thing that we try to push to our people at the church is this: if you have a restraining order, or if you're getting threats from somebody, let somebody know.
Right.
So if this person comes in, we know how to deal with them. Now, as far as a security team, if you're going to incorporate weapons into the church, that's why I say it's a lot of training.
It is.
Because if I'm putting together training in here, one of the first things you want to do is teach the congregation how to react, when to react. So if someone comes in there with a firearm in the church, if you've already taught your congregation, you know, what to do, that means they're going to clear the airway.
Right.
Meaning, if you're a senior that's got an apparatus and you can't move that fast, we don't need you running all around the church. We need everybody getting down.
Drop down.
So if you're younger, you get out your seat and help them lay in your seat.
That's right.
So if someone strange comes in, they have no idea of the procedures. So once you clear the airway, the only head up is the one that came in with the weapon.
Right.
And you can now deal with that person. You know, now some people get, you know, I guess excited or freaked out, if you want to say it, and they may take off. But that's where the training comes in, because you have to plan for all of that.
Right.
You do. And even you know, even with my stint in being a police officer, you know, when we had shootouts, I've had senior police officers freeze up.
Right.
You know, I mean,
you can't train for the unseen though.
Right.
You know, you can try to prepare yourself for it. That's all you really can do, because you never know what is on.
Where it's gonna come from. You never know.
That's something I learned a long time ago. You could be sitting right looking at somebody, and the next day, like, he did all that. I just was talking to him for like an hour, but you never know
what's in their mind.
Right. So you can, all you can do is try to be prepared for it.
Right.
You have everybody, like you said, everybody in place, everybody's prepared. Then 9 times out of 10, you'll come out of there with less casualties. No.
Absolutely.
With training. Like my pastor, I don't care if it's the president. if he gets within 3 feet of her,
Yeah.
I'm stepping towards him. Because, like you say, you never know what's going on with anybody's frame,
Right. In the frame of
in
mind.
their frame of mind. You don't know
Right,
what they're thinking.
Right.
So, even when the other pastors start walking towards her, I always, step towards her.
Right.
And she'll give me a look or a nod, I'm okay, and I'll back off. But it's crazy. I mean, 2 years ago we had a guy get mad at his ex-wife and daughter and drive his Cadillac right through the front doors of our church. I had to take this guy there. I had to deal with it. But my pastor, so much confidence in her security team, she never stopped preaching. She never stopped. Here's a car sitting in her church.
In the church.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept going.
Right.
She said, whatever's going on out there,
That's right.
my team got it.
The devil won't get the victory.
That's right. That's right.
And you just never know what people mind frame, and it almost brought tears to my eyes. Well, it did when you figure you got 9 people dead just for praising God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they skin
It's the
cover.
end time.
What he tried to do basically backfired on him. He tried to cause a division, and really he brought a lot of people together.
Mm.
That's what he did. It basically worked against him, what he tried to do. Because he hoping by killing them, it's going to anger us. We're going to start rioting. They're going to be, in shootouts and all this. And what it did was made people more aware. They getting that Confederate flag out of there. Put that in the museum where it belongs. Like, that's all they did. Obama had said, they was talking about when he said nigga in his speech. But they didn't talk about the stuff he said before that.
Right.
Like, this is nothing new to us. All this doing is opening our eyes to know that we really need change. Our little marches and stuff, and we have to really keep stepping forward. So as soon as we have an incident, it lasts for a month, 2 months. Oh, they protesting, they this and that. And then soon as
It died.
It does. Right.
Let's
right,
go.
right.
But see, the marches and all the hoopla need to be going on in our inner cities
Yes. It
before an incident happened.
Mm-hmm.
In order to, I understand if someone else does something, okay, we're going to address it.
Right.
But what about when we're doing it to ourselves?
Right.
exactly.
It needs to be addressed.
Right.
It needs to be addressed. And it's easily overlooked because it's not, a lot of times, things don't get addressed until it crosses
So it happened.
over into other
Right.
communities. That's when it becomes a serious issue, when it crosses other communities.
Mm-hmm.
It's expected. It's pretty much a lot of communities. If you think about the Rodney King riots,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people didn't realize how big the West Side was until those riots took off.
Mm-hmm.
When they started locking the West Side down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they had us locked. I mean, we were locking. They were considered the West Side. We had Pecos and Cary on lock. That's nowhere near the West Side, but you couldn't come past it.
Right.
You couldn't come up Cary.
They had a whole perimeter around that whole thing. That
whole area.
Y'all can tear it up. You won't tear none of this up out of it.
That's
Oh
right.
no,
Mm-hmm.
downtown and the Strip was on lock.
Off limits.
You couldn't even go down Bonanza.
No, they had SWAT team and National Guards blocking underpass.
Right.
Wow.
You know, a lot of people don't understand. 89106 goes all the way up to Decatur and Lake Mead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you talk about 89106, I mean it's a big area, and they're not saying, well, everybody on this side of Rancho, we're gonna consider them okay. No, when the call come out that we have problem at 89106,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're gonna block off this whole area.
We're gonna cordon off the whole area.
We want to keep it all inside of there. Y'all do what y'all want to do in there. Same thing in New Orleans when the floods came.
Mm-hmm.
It was a naval base in the lower 9th Ward.
Mm-hmm.
You would think they'll say, okay, let's get these people in here. They had guards out there, soldiers
Mm-hmm.
with guns. The base was the only place that wasn't flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize I had never been to New Orleans until I went down there. And I woke up early in the morning. We was at my former pastor's mom's house. And I walked outside and I'm looking up the street, which is maybe about 3 blocks. And I see a Navy ship going past. And I'm saying to myself, it got to be farther than that. Until I walk down there. That's a whole bunch of water this close to these homes.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start seeing the news footage and you see the street signs covered with water, the homes covered with water.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, I want to say it was about maybe 5-6 years ago we went down there. The homes are still boarded up.
Mm-hmm.
You walking down the street and they still tell you what they found inside the houses.
So FEMA's done nothing.
FEMA's done nothing. Now, one thing that they was doing, and it's crazy, in the lower 9th Ward, from what I understand, they was trying to get that property.
Mm-hmm.
So normally when you declare something a national landmark, it only pertains to that facility.
Mm-hmm.
They declared the whole Lower Ninth Ward a national landmark because of a school that was down there.
Mm-hmm.
So what they was telling the people was, you can rebuild, but it has to look exactly the same as the one that was there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep this historic look.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my house has been totally dismantled.
Why would I want to remember that?
Right, absolutely.
Right.
And the help was coming far and few between. So I'm I'm really struggling to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted them out. When you think about the two projects, I know one was the Desire Project. I know we grew up in projects.
Right.
But our projects compared to theirs is apartment complexes.
Wow.
I had a friend of mine tell me they were condos.
Right. But I mean, the Desire Project itself was probably a 2 or 3 mile project. That's a whole bunch of land.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 2 of those that same size side by side. That's been totally demolished now, ready for building to be done on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, it's unless you really understand what happens in these communities,
Mm-hmm.
what these children go through in these communities,
Mm-hmm.
you being a mentor to them is almost useless. You know, you can be taught, you can learn,
Right.
but trying to come in, I had a pastor. We was in a meeting, and they were talking about going to Met Kelly on the west side,
Mhm.
talking to these kids. And his thing was, you got to grab them. You got to shake them. I said, man, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh gosh.
I says, how do you scare somebody that's been scared to death already?
Right. Right.
You shaking me is going to make me mad.
Mm-hmm.
Because it don't scare me.
It don't scare me. You know, I tell people all the time, if you want to scare me, you should have been there when I was 6 years old when I first moved in the project.
Mm-hmm.
Because believe it or not, we used to live on Madison Street, Madison and D Street.
Mhm.
From there to Sherman Gardens. Totally different environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people laugh about it, but when you speak of having fights, you had rules.
Mm-hmm.
No punching, no kicking, and we abided by the rules.
Yeah.
But when you go over there and it's just like blocks away, man, we don't want to hear all that. This is how I've been surviving.
Mm-hmm.
So now either you learn quick or you become a victim.
Right. Right.
And that's where a lot of kids, they just fall victim to it. You know, they're like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever y'all want me to do because I'm tired of getting punched in the eye. It hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have nobody that's willing to stand up for me. Like he said with his kids, he stand up with his kids.
Right.
Believe it or not, you have some grown men that are afraid
Of their children.
of their own children,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it.
of their own children. So how do you raise your child to be a man
If you're afraid.
if you're afraid of it?
Right. You're afraid.
All right. Well, Mike, I know we got parents listening and we got some kids that's probably on the fence of wanting to do the right thing and then that peer pressure about being part of a gang and dealing with guns and drugs and all that. If you could say one thing or whatever you want to say to them, what would you say to this child that's on the cusp right now? That's on that gate.
Right.
I would honestly tell them to really just take a moment and really look at your life. You know, things that seem bad in life aren't usually as bad as you think.
Right.
And just because you don't have the PlayStation 3 or all this other amenities that your friends might have, that don't mean you can't get it. But if you go about getting it by stealing it, it's still not yours.
Right.
And it don't last.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's taken is gone within a month or so. If you haven't worked hard to earn what you're getting,
Mm-hmm.
you'll never respect it. You'll never enjoy it.
Right.
It's the truth. Being in a gang is just another quicker way to find yourself in a grave or in the penitentiary for the rest of your life.
Right.
The best thing to do is get your education, get you a job, get you a bank account, stack your money,
That's
save, become a permanent, positive part.
It's
of
a
humanity.
stud. Right. Right.
That's where you win at.
That's
The
true.
gangs is just keeping us down. It's like the Willie Lynch mentality, but we do it to our own self. I
Mhm.
can't go over here because he don't like me. He can't come over here because I don't like him.
Right.
But if we both got together and went over here and went over together, we could get double much done faster.
Yep.
You know, right now I'm starting a production company.
Okay.
So all these little artists that be on the internet putting their music out and all that, I give them an avenue where they can come and do that music.
That's good.
But in order to do that music, you have to be positive. We're gonna have to give back. We're gonna have to do car washes and get that money back to some. We're gonna do positive stuff within that. But that's what the last year and a half, that's what I've been doing.
Hey,
That's good. That's good.
That's a great thing. Minister, if you got somebody, same question, if you got somebody on the cusp right now, what would you want to say to that individual?
Basically, you know, I would tell that person, you know, like Michael said, it may look bad to you right now. You may not have all the things that everybody else have, which, you know, like with us growing up, we didn't have all that stuff.
Nope.
But what happens is you have to push yourself, not go hurt nobody, not go take somebody else's.
Right.
Make that one of your goals. That's one thing we got to wait from, making personal goals for ourselves.
Right.
I would tell that young person, set goals for yourself. Don't try to make them too high because then you get discouraged. But set goals for yourself so that way, little by little, you're stepping.
Right.
And then when you make your own money and you buy your own stuff, number one, you're going to take care of it because you spend your own hard money on it.
You respect it more.
You're going to respect it. And along with that, you're becoming a productive member of society.
Right.
You know, you're going to have some fallbacks, but don't let that stumble take you out.
Right.
Just get them, keep pushing forward. You know, a lot of times we look for help from a lot of places, but from our own self. Because there's things that we can do for ourselves, but we want somebody else to do it. And if asked, okay, well, you want these shoes. Okay, go clean the yard. It's too hot.
Right. They don't want to work for it.
I don't want to go out there and do that.
I remember many a day, because you know we grew up in Winslow Park. After we moved out of the projects, and we were blessed to get out. Many Saturday mornings, I would grab a gas can and a lawnmower and hit the neighborhood.
My dad still, to this day, my dad is 84, and he still think he can get up in them trees. Still to this day, I have to. 3 days ago, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 110 out there. Because he was in the tree.
Yeah.
Because this is what he does. This is what he loves.
Right.
And I love him, and I'm not going to let you hurt yourself out there.
Right.
So, what are you doing? Oh, okay, I'll be over there at 7.
Right.
We supposed to been going at 7 and been done at 10. We make it there at 11. And he talking about it ain't hot.
Right.
He been doing this all his life. It's burning up to me. But rather than let my dad suffer and end up hurting himself, I sacrifice that every day of my life.
But see, it's that type of force, you know, that type of push, that type of grind
that we had, though. Yeah.
That we've had,
Yeah.
and that we need to try to help instill into our youth today.
Right.
They need that because they need to understand fast money is not saving money. You come fast and go fast.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, and when you're making it fast, basically you're risking losing your life or spending the rest of it behind bars.
Right.
And you know, a lot of these kids now think that going to jail is
It's a badge of honor.
It's a badge of honor.
They get out all the tattoos.
All buff.
You know, get that Pepsi bottle swole look going. You know, you got all up top and legs look like a pencil. Must have missed that workout there.
Right. They don't realize the stuff that they lose by becoming a felon.
Right.
They don't realize how hard it makes it for their life.
Right.
Like when I was young, I didn't care about it. The consequences didn't even matter.
Right.
But now I can look and see it. I don't want those consequences for mine.
Right.
I have sons that's in the penitentiary right now. I have
Wow.
sons fighting real stuff right now because they did not listen. I preached it to them and told them, like, you don't even have to go through that because I've been through all that.
Right.
You don't have to be shot. Your daddy been shot. You don't have to go through. I was facing 64 years. They tried to hang me out to dry, no deal or nothing. I had to beat it in trial in order to be here right now for something that I didn't do. You know what I'm saying? But I tried to explain to them, but the way society's set up now, you're not the man if your name not ringing. And your name not ringing if you ain't out there
Doing
in the streets.
Right.
Putting in work.
That's right.
All right.
You know, so
I want to thank you, 2 men, special guest stars, for partaking in this